Hello! Today we will talk about every optical illusion. The first optical illusion will be ARTERIMAGE. The ARTERIMAGE optical illusion is a well-known example of an optical illusion used to study depth and perspective perception in art and perception psychology. This illusion arises from the interaction between different parts of a drawing that attempt to manipulate depth and perspective. As a result, the observer gets the impression that the surface depicted in the drawing is three-dimensional, although in fact it is just a flat object. Characteristic features of the ARTERIMAGE illusion are depth. The sense of depth is achieved by using different tones, shades, and linear perspective to create the impression of space and depth. Realism. The drawing is created with great attention to detail, which makes it more realistic and natural to perceive. Interactivity. Some variants of the ARTERIMAGE illusion can have an interactive aspect, where the viewer can change their point of view or distance from the drawing, which enhances the effect of depth and perspective. The next optical illusion will be RUBINS VASE. The RUBINS VASE optical illusion is a well-known example of a figure and background illusion that demonstrates a phenomenon known as bistable perspective. This illusion was first described by the Danish psychologist Edgar Rubin in 1915. At the first level of perception, the image may give the impression of a vase or other vessel standing on a table. However, upon closer inspection, one can see that the same black outlines also form two faces looking at each other. The characteristic features of the RUBINS VASE optical illusion are bistability. The observer can perceive the image in two different ways, as a vase or as a face, depending on how they focus on different parts of the image. Contrast between figure and background. To create this illusion, the contrast between the object, vase or boat, and the background is used, allowing the brain to more easily perceive two different objects, depending on how it interprets them. Heterogeneity of lines and contours. The lines that form a shape can also form the contours of a face, and vice versa, creating a conflict in perception and contributing to bistability. The next optical illusion will be WUNDT. The WUNDT illusion is an optical illusion first described by the German psychologist Wilhelm WUNDT in 1862. This illusion is also sometimes known as the paradoxical diameter illusion. The essence of the illusion is that when two circles of the same diameter are placed in the same context but on different background surfaces, the circle on the darker background appears larger than the circle on the lighter background, although in reality, they are the same size. This illusion occurs because of the way the brain processes visual information about size. The background context around each circle affects the way the brain estimates their size. A circle set against a darker background appears larger because the brain sees it as a larger object in a larger space, compared to how it perceives a circle against a lighter background. This phenomenon is known as the contrast effect. WUNDT's illusion is an interesting example of how our perception can be influenced by context and background. The next optical illusion will be KANISZA. The KANISZA illusion is one of the most famous optical illusions, which was first described by Italian psychologist KANISZA in 1955. The essence of the illusion is that the brain creates contoured shapes or objects that are not actually in the image. This illusion typically involves a set of circles and segments that give the impression of spatial shapes such as triangles or squares, even if they are not directly or completely reflected. Based on the different spatial relationships between the contour elements, the brain automatically interprets these fragments as objects that arrive according to its expectations. This happens through the mechanisms of perceptual filling, when the brain fills in the gaps between the contour elements to form the appearance of known shapes. This illusion indicates that the perception of images does not always correspond to the actual image, but is the result of complex processes of visual information processing in the brain. The next optical illusion will be color dove. The color dove. Optical illusion is one of the most interesting illusions that demonstrates how the perception of color can be influenced by context and environment. This illusion is created by using different colors that affect the perception of shape. At first glance, it may seem that the two doves in the image are different colors. However, if you look closely, you will notice that they are actually the same color, but mixed with different background colors, which creates the illusion. This illusion demonstrates how the brain interprets colors depending on their context and environment. Color perception can be influenced by neighboring colors, leading to the perception of different shades or colors than are actually present in the image. This illusion effect can be used to create interesting visual effects and keep the viewer engaged. The next optical illusion will be MULLER-LYER. The MULLER-LYER optical illusion is one of the most famous perspective illusions. This illusion was first described by Franz Müller-Lyer in 1889. It consists in the fact that lines of the same length are perceived as having different lengths due to the presence of external elements surrounding them. A typical example of this illusion is two horizontal lines with arrows at the ends. One arrow increases the distance and the other decreases it. Although the lines are actually the same length, the external elements make them appear different. The exact reason for this illusion is not yet fully understood, but it is assumed that it is related to the brain's processing of information about depth and perspective. Scientists believe that the arrows at the ends of lines can influence the brain's perception of which line is longer or shorter, which leads to this illusion.